So in case you haven't noticed, today, as well as being Tuesday, and as well as being March the 17th, is also St. Patrick's Day, the day that the world celebrates St. Patrick, who is famous for being Irish, which he wasn't, for kicking the snakes out of Ireland, which he didn't do, and for spreading Christianity to Ireland, which he may well actually have done. Now, if you've watched all my videos, and I sincerely hope that you have, then you might remember me referring to St. Patrick as the patron saint of American college students getting drunk on beer with food colouring in it, which I will admit is a little bit mean, but for my entire life I've been pretty sceptical about St. Patrick's Day as a thing. I never really celebrated it. I mean, we never even used to get the day off school, but it always just felt cheesy and forced. In fact, if I was a bit more Tumblr-y, I could probably complain about Americans celebrating it being cultural appropriation. But, to quote noted famous Irishman President Barack Obama, my position has evolved. Because, unlike very few other Western European countries, Ireland never got to have an empire. In fact, as is well known, rather than being colonisers, we were the colonised. Ireland was, for hundreds of years, just another British imperial project. Now, you could argue that I am good evidence that that imperial project worked, considering my British passport, my British identity, and my Protestant faith. But more than that, not having an empire meant that Ireland never got to systematically export her culture, and her sport, and her music, and her language in the way that Britain did so successfully, or even smaller countries like Portugal or Belgium managed to do. Instead of exporting imperial values and forcing ourselves on subjugated territories, Ireland just exported something else. People. Hundreds of thousands, millions even, generation after generation of Irish people exported all over the world. So much so, in fact, that Ireland's population now is roughly the same as what it was in the 1830s. They weren't sent to conquer or to enslave. They weren't sent to impose our will, our culture, our values on some completely different foreign land. They just went to work and live and have families and make a better life for themselves. Sure, they brought some of their culture with them, but they were ambassadors. They took some of their culture with them and listened to the cultures in which they ended up. And once a year, on that ancient celebration day of their patron saint, they would come together and celebrate the place where they came from. They would commemorate, they would reminisce, they would relive the tales and the stories and the music of the place where they grew up. That diaspora, those people, those descendants, those expats, those exiles, that's the Irish Empire. From Boston to Bangkok, taking Irishness and taking it to the world and inviting the world in to join in just one day of being happy for this green and rainy island where some people came from. What could be better, really, as a celebration of your country in the world than welcoming everyone, whether you're a recent immigrant or whether you're 1/64th Irish, to celebrate a culture, to celebrate a country? Personally, I think there's something really beautiful about it. So even if you are an American college student and you're putting up with people putting green food colouring in Bud Light, happy St. Patrick's Day. You're welcome. DFTBA.